Yes, greetings everyone. Welcome back for the sixth and final season of Man Them Chat in this current format. So this evening we've got a special guest in the house, very special guest. Took us a while to get him here, but he's here. We have Mr. Luton Town himself in the house, Bob Baker, pioneering Luton community activist, organizer and leader, live and direct with us this evening. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you very much, Mark. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. Yes, it did take me a while to come, but I'm here now.
Oh, well.
Okay, good to have you, brother.
How we normally do it, Bob, can you give us a little background, history, little story, growing up and
Okay.
stuff?
Well, I was born in Jamaica. I came over to England in 1966 at the age of 9 to join my mother. And yeah, as I say, in terms of coming to Luton, I live at 104 Bedford Road. Round the corner was Clarendon Road, which is the Campbells. I went to St. Matthew's Junior School and wasn't allowed to go to the near local school, which is Beachy of Denby. I was told I wouldn't learn anything. I must go to the new school, other school. I must say, really, right, on leaving Jamaica, and when I came here, I couldn't believe I wanted to go back. But that's for another later on in the story. But saying that, my background, I partly went to finish school, partly went to school at Stockwood High School, and then midway through to divorce my matrimonial such for parents, as stepfathers, my mother, we moved to Derby. So I went to Dale Boys School in Derby. Totally different environment, rough, whatever, stuff like that. And I had to educate myself before I left school to go on to Derby College of Further Education because I wanted to go into engineering and I never learned much at school. And that saying, I was a very bright person back home in Jamaica and come over here. I was perceived to be or said to be really, really bright, which I think I was. But you go backwards as you come here. The things that I've learned back home at school, even in high school, they're just about going into it, mathematics, this, that, and whatever. So anyway, the short of it, I went into engineering and due to political, at the time, 3-day a week, all the industrial engineering bases went down, mostly in Derby. There's only like a few that remain, the major strong one, Rolls-Royce, carriage and wagon and such forth. So I was out of work in 80, 81. And I think at that time, really, right, there's a lot of uprising, unemployment and such forth. I went over to America, spent a bit of time over in America, 10 months, and to join my uncle. He was the youngest one of the family back home in Jamaica. Then I came back to England because I couldn't take it in America. It's too fast, You could get anything you want over there, but it was too fast. So anyway, I came back and I studied back. Went on to do voluntary work, got involved in Starlight Youth Club, went on to college. Actually, it was the first, me, Lawrence Palmer, Philip Rose, and Derek Spalding was the first local lot that went on to higher education in Luton. We went into H&D Public Administration because we wanted to change things, And at the time, as I say, it was a bit rough, over here. But back in them times, we seemed to stick together, People talk about our parents, but what they don't seem to realize really, right, is about us. We are victimized. Some of us were victimized coming over here as children. Some of us never really got on to rejoin the mother relationship and such forth. And even my mother, she had nervous breakdown in the system. She had mental health issues. I can talk about these things now, whereas before it's like taboo. You don't talk about those things, because of the institutional way of the country, about that. So that's my background anyway. My background basically, right, is back home that stood me in the good the values and things that I learned back home in terms of growing up, manners, respect, thrifting, the Protestant work ethic. You don't get things, you have to work for things. that kind of thing. You have to learn manners. When I say manners, I'm talking about you know how to educate yourself in terms of that you are a blessing, you know, to your family. Nobody don't have no reports about you and such like that, you know. And I love back home, harsh discipline, very, very good. So even though I've been in England so years, I still feel I'm well Jamaican in me. Even though I would say I'm more Pan-Africanist because I learn a lot more about history, where I'm coming from and so forth. So there's a lot on there to bite on. But I haven't gone into like say what I've done in the community bit. But yeah, can I pause there for a bit?
All right. Can I ask you a question, Bob, please? You said when you come over here, 'cause my mum said something similar. When you came over to England and you went to school, did you find they was actually behind the level that you was already at?
100%, because what it is really right, this is facts. The education in Jamaica that you get is the same English education, but it's of a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
And how, when you go to school, you progress by your ability,
Yeah.
not by your age. So I could be in a class, that class, say I was 8, kids in there could be 11. Yeah? Because they've not progressed. As I progress, I move on. They don't hold you back. That's how it is. All my times table, Iowa, we used to get the more called classical education back home. So, you know, the things we all learn, anybody would tell, most of them went to school there that I was doing joining up writing. Yeah. When I came to school there, they don't want me to do joining up writing. They say you have to do block. That's the basic. So my writing got mashed up because you know.
So it kind of took you backwards then.
It took me backwards. Yeah.
That's why you say that when you come out of the interview, you learn that.
No, I never learned anything, you know, really to that. And the fact that you have to deal with the institutionalized nature, you know, was, you know, obviously, let me say plainly, really, right? People never knew nothing about black people. They have got a bad perception of them. Somebody want to touch your hair, think you're monkey and all that kind of stuff, you know, all that kind of extremism. And a lot of times, really, right, certain areas that we go, we get attacked because, you know, because his skin color and things like that. You know? So there was a lot of those things we tried to deal with. You know? But not everybody was like that, but just certain hard section because of ignorance. But once they get to know you and the reputation and whatever and stuff like that, it got a bit better, you know. But yeah, so really, right, we was the younger one. We was a vanguard, really. I mean, the older ones, they did their thing, whether they go to the pub or the clubs and whatever. And yes, we've been to club, but at the same time, we wasn't allowed to go in. But we weren't having it, really. I mean, I think we had a bit of swagger about us because at the end of the day, we had a bit of swagger about us because at the end of the day, really, right, we was brought up a particular way in Jamaica. We don't take much nonsense, and you know, whatever happens, happens. And then, you know, so long as you represent yourself properly, and that kind of way. Well, I'm not going to say that really, right, that we were bad or anything. It's just like it was a shock to our system. You know what I mean? We were shocked to our system with the way that we was, what do you call it, treat even the police institution. You got to remember one thing. The Race Relation Act, I think it came in 1964. Right? So because the Race Relation Act came in 1964, I came to it. It doesn't mean so that because it's outlaw, everybody just changed straight away. You know? They don't want the old thing like no Irish, no blacks, no dogs, and all that kind of thing. You know? There's all of that kind of thing. Well, you know, as when you're young, you're kind of resilient. Because even back home, you know, like even back home, really, right? You know, yeah, we've had differences amongst us, you know, like say school rivalry and all that kind of stuff, and all them kind of things. So, but it's a different nature when you're over here. I mean, we've had to educate ourselves about the society, and because we've had knowledge of back home, it helped us over here. And plus, at the same time, some of the other our age range, we actually really stick together. Yeah, in some ways, I'll say.
Okay. Go ahead, Sydney. You had a question?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be pushing forward too much, but I was wondering about how you got involved in community projects from engineering, from your background in engineering. What made you jump to working in your community? Was it there your experiences here, or was it the fact that you saw there's a lot of disparity and a lack of communication in our communities? I wonder what made you change your path.
Okay. Yeah. There's two factors really. One of it basically, like there wasn't no engineering work anymore in engineering. The whole lot went down the pan, really, engineering. Not just for me, engineering was on its way out. Because even later on, even most of the cars and stuff like that, that got sold out more or less. So is it the two in 81, is it the two-way forward after 81? You see the computers or social work. Those were the kind of new so-called tertiary, kind of thing like that. So, and I was looking to educate myself as well, because I never really looked at and learned about me. It's only when I got unemployed and stuff like that, I started reading books, great books, Marcus Garvey, Walter Rundy, all of the books, educate. And plus, I studied and I tried to study as well. And so I drifted into youth work actually, because I used to promote in
You
Derby.
talk up a bit, please, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, and Derby I used to promote. I used to promote on the side and do another thing. I used to put on All Investigator, one of the top band, from the big work. And so how I came into youth work, it's like I was putting on an event and there's in Midland Road, that famous club. I think the Duggans owned the club then at the time. Can't recall the name of it. But anyway, the short of it, when it comes down to Saturday would have been my event. On Monday, I got told I can't have the dance anymore. After my hard-earned dole money, flyers and everything, was, so somebody said, go to Starlight Youth Club. They put on stuff there. So I went to Starlight Youth Club and I saw Steve Stevenson. He was in charge then. So I told him, if I could have the dance or something. He said, no. The dance that we have there is for the benefit of the members. We can't have promoters doing such. But anyway, he said, I seem interesting, and asked a big question about me and whatever. So I said, okay. He told me what he's doing. I said, oh yeah, man, I've got time. I'll come back and help you. So no problem, this and that. Yeah, definitely. And he says to me, oh, a lot of people say they're going to come back, they don't come back. So I don't know, once that altercation, I told him off. He said, how dare you, you don't know me. So how can you talk to me like that? That's probably why people don't come back. I think that them days are a bit more thoughtful. I did come back, and I did voluntary work for 2 years. And so I got into youth work by accident. I loved it. I never knew that there's such thing as youth work, even though I went to a youth club in Derby. And young people, there was in need of some, social education. When I say social education, how to go about doing things the different way, not just about playing table tennis and what for. Some of them had some issues and such forth, but some of them were so bright, And so that's how I drifted into youth work. Then I got I took up a work, the MSC, Manpower Service Commission. I don't know if anybody, anyway, basically, right, it was the first community project in Luton, in terms of organization of in unity, in charity. That was Mrs. Prophet, CRC, Community Relation Council. So I got smitten that I could be working with my young people and doing a bit of service. That's how I got into it, and I went into the H&D Public Administration at Luton College. But they said to me after I've done that, oh, that's not a professional qualification for youth work. That's a civil service. You can go into civil service, you can do all sorts of things, but not youth work, not get proper qualified. So I went again and did up north and did my professional youth and community. And whilst I was doing my youth and community work, I was running Starlight 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday afternoon. Whilst I do my full-time study, and I was activist. We was doing other stuff, and we actually closed down the CRC, the Commission for Racial the Community Relations Council, because they were totally useless. I'll say that. I'm not being, what you call it. In fact, they were more against helping us rather than, helping us, because when we wanted that, we never got nothing at all from them. And this is how bad it was. I think there's there's an Asian CRO, and he was saying that we shouldn't poke our nose into their business, or a snake will be there for us, some stupid, what you call it. So we wrote to the head people at the fundum and told them what was going on. And me, Lawrence Palmer, Zuftika from the Pakistani community, and we had to close them down. We had a conference about where the money goes for black people in terms of Section 11, because Section 11 was specific money to integrate the immigrants, so-called, and that was a big meeting at the town hall. We did a lot of stuff. It's not just about making noise, and we educated ourselves as well. So answering the question, how I got into youth work, I drifted into youth work, really. I think it was a natural thing for me, and I never knew how can I say? I never knew that I was so good at communicating, bringing back on things into it. So youth work, really, right? It's like a way of life for me, really.
Okay. Can I ask you, what are the major changes you've seen in the black community over the years, from that time till now?
The major changes?
Yeah, that you've seen in the black community. And I mean, with organizations, not necessarily just the social aspect, even though I want you to mention the social aspect as well. But I mean, with the community organizations and so forth.
I mean, before, really, right, I think inside our community, there were more groups. Because I remember, like Ella, she had an organization that set, with teachers, with parents and all that kind of stuff. Because it was my role then to identify the needs of the African Caribbean and bring it together.
This was when? What year?
I'm talking about, I got appointed in 1988.
All right.
After I finished my qualification and all that kind of stuff. I was involved in youth from 1982.
Right, okay.
I was the first African Caribbean outreach worker for Bedford County Council. So what it is, I developed a lot of initiatives that they wouldn't, think, when I said that the institution wouldn't, and I had to fight for some of those things as well. So what the major thing is really, right, they had the Caribbean Nurses Guild, they had quite a few organizations, right? And, so those organizations, they're an interest group, yeah? But at the same time, they serve the needs of section of the community, and they all got together into an organization called FACO, Federation of African Caribbean Organization, So there's a lot of work that was being done. One Foundation was another organization. And the One Foundation, they were the ones that did the Saturday school. And interestingly enough, really, right, the Saturday school, it came out of a national movement where at the same time, a lot of our children, Caribbean children, basically, right, they wasn't getting the education, and they were seen as educational backwards or subnormal. So the Saturday school, basically, right, what it does really, right, it actually teaches them English, maths, 3 hours, and also plays story, folk song. We boost up their self-esteem, and that organization is still going. So I think one of the major changes is really, right, we were more active at doing things, and we know the external wasn't helping us so much, so we just got on with it. The changes now really, right, is that the baton has not been passed on, or if it gets passed on, people don't really take it up. There's very few people that take it up. I mean, a lot of the older ones, I'm getting old in my own way, but they're passed on, and there's some of them really, right, they want people to take on things. So it's the next phase. I think people think that, we're so integrated now, we don't need to, do anything, but, the system will take care of us, which is the same way our parents thought when they come over, the system will take care of them, and knew how bad the system is. So the major difference now is about, for a better word, really, right, working out our relationship within our community. Yeah, not just looking at, it's easy, the external factor, yeah, but it's about how do we set our leadership within our own community. And there's a thing like, well, we should all get together and unite. I agree with that. But you can't just get together and unite just for the sake of unite. You've got to have a common purpose. And not everybody basically may share your objectives, so to speak. So, but there's nothing wrong with that. So long as the people are progressing in whatever they want to do, it's going towards the direction. But it's the internal stuff, because why have we got all time, how can I say it really right, like conflict amongst some of the youths so much, certain postcards, certain area. What's that about? Really? You know what I mean?
Can I ask a question?
Sorry.
It's Gilbert.
Yes, Gilbert.
Bob.
Yes.
What is your goal for the black community, you reckon, in this Luton?
Can I just say, really, I haven't got no goal for the black community. I don't look at I've got a goal for the black community. What I look at, I work with like-minded people who want a common agenda to move forward in what we're doing. Yeah, because I'm not carried, I'm very, very clear now. I don't see myself as a Charles Atlas carrying the black community on my back. Yeah, I look at, like, say, what is it I'm doing that could be beneficial to people? And I'm more moving towards like cultural, social enterprise. When I say social, cultural enterprise, that people are resilient and help themselves.
Too much, man.
And not be dependent on, say, for example, the council this, the council that, or whatever. So, I mean, do you remember, B. Gilbert, when I started the community cricket? That was our initiative from our community to make relationship with the white, the Asian, the Indian, and whatever, and everybody.
I remember that. That.
And I made lots of other initiatives.
And then the council started getting involved and wrecked it.
That's right. And the institutes, when they get
all I'm asking, really, I remember me and you sit down at the Carnival Centre one day, and we were talking about black business. And I was explaining how I got into borrowing money from the bank and starting business and all that back in '95 and all that. And you were sitting there, and we're sitting with a few other people, right? And then on Facebook, I saw a thing saying, who was that white yardie sitting in the white tracksuit bottom with a arrow pointing at me on Facebook? After we sat there having a very good discussion about black people starting their own business. And I felt I forgot what's her name that was running the program. She did a radio program. What's her name? You know her. I was very disappointed.
When you say who's that white yardie?
Yeah, they were talking about me on Facebook.
Well, can I say, really?
You were sitting there. We had a good meeting, constructive meeting about black business.
Yeah, but can I say, really, I'm not really, I hear what you're saying, but, I'm not really, can't be all respectable, responsible for other people's attitude or behavior. In that sense, because, but I don't, what's the point of your question, sorry?
Gilbert?
Hello?
You still there?
Would you still fight for the black community in this town?
Listen, man, I don't know what to say to you, really, right? If you are asking me that, then I don't think you really know me, right? That's all I would say, right? And I'll explain to you really, like, facts, not personal or whatever emotion, right? In terms of Leon Briggs, yes? I don't know if people are aware of Leon Briggs, what happened to him.
Rest in peace, brother.
Yeah, who was the one when I came back was on it, big time, and other people never wanted to really, so-called leaders, right? Henry Huggins, yeah, all the way, right down to court, whatever, things like that, yeah. There's lots of other things, so I see them kind of questions. I don't want to be, what you call it, well, I mustn't be emotional, but I ain't got time for those kind of questions when I fight for the black community. I've been fighting I've been fighting for myself, So sorry if I'm sounding a bit arrogant, but I ain't really got time for them nonsense things. I'll tell people where to go, coming to me with them kind of, what you call it. And
all right.
I've more than done my bit, you know, and I'm not trying to be personal.
All right, okay, moving on. Blaps, you got a question?
Yes, sir. Yes, Bob. How you doing, man?
Hello, sir.
I don't understand that question myself because, as far as I'm concerned, every major event happening, problem, I turn up to, I expect to see you there. So it's like you're either running it, heading it, or deeply involved in it. It's not a point where people from outside of Luton don't know Bob. It's like if you've been to Luton before, you have to know Bob Baker. How do you not know Bob Baker? It doesn't make any sense. So the amount of things I've personally been involved with you, community-wise, has gone back to pretty much 1980 probably. From
listen, man, from
Prince Charles at Starlight.
You know what I mean? Man, from using that training down there, what's that place down the back? You know, and when you're doing the lessons for the summer program, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the back of just not very far from the town centre, yeah.
Okay.
And you never got much help, yeah. That warehouse business.
The only help I get is from my main people. You know what I mean? Like yourself. When you did the High Commissioner, when the Jamaican High Commissioner came to Luton, you arranged all that, and I was the principal photographer for it. So it's not like I expect anyone else to do these things. I just expect you to be there. It's like you're normal to be there now. So I don't understand that question, my dang self.
What year did the High Commissioner come to Luton?
You see what I mean?
Well, let's focus on facts.
And funny enough, right? You talk about Jamaica High Commissioner. My little brother, did an art piece for the High Commission in Jamaica. You see what I'm saying? So there's the connection right there. So even the people that you influenced to become something better than they are, my little brother became something better than he is. He's a very highly respected artist. He runs a gallery in London, blah, blah, blah. And he was influenced by Bob himself because Bob got him to do art stuff, to dance for Prince Charles, to do the painting. It just goes on and on.
The reason I asked you what year, because I spent all day with the High Commission from Jamaica in the town hall and in the university when she came to Luton. That's all. That's why I was asking you what year.
That's nice.
Anyway, Victor.
Yes, sir.
Let me just say basically, right, I was closely aligned to your father, God bless his soul, yeah? Yeah, and he used to do the chip shop and come around this van, but he was a very good man in other ways, proper, yeah. And at the same time, right, I got to know you, and as you, into a man, you know what I mean, and you had your own ways, and you had the summer school session around the back of near around, I can't remember, it was a new.
I've still got the community
around the thing, yeah, but
I've still got the community group.
And I know you still got that group. But
the One Foundation is now the Real Education inside my community group. You know what I mean? My auntie was one of the teachers at the One Foundation Educational Saturday School, and now it's Real Education in my group. You see what I'm saying? So
I know where you're coming from, and I know what you've done. I know what it's a continuation.
Yeah.
All I was saying at the time, really, right? There was no help that was coming from the institute. I remember quite clearly, I diverted some money out of my summer program for the work, because I know that bit of money would go fast way, and the waste would have been ordinarily. Yeah, right. I mean the workshop that you did, and the kids, what they got out of it. To me, that gave me joy. Things like that.
That's great.
As far as I know,
enough respect, in terms of that's real. It's not personality. It's not likes. It's real work.
As far as I know, growing up, Bob's always been there doing this and that in the community. That's as far as I know. Growing up around here.
Yeah.
You know what I
Basically,
mean?
my question is that I know that you used to have more high hopes for the people of Luton, and this is where that question is coming from, I think. But it's one of the things where you constantly ask people for backup and help and support, and they don't bring it.
You don't
They
bring it.
don't turn up.
Yeah. Okay. Then, thank you, Gilbert. If that's what you meant in terms of that bit, thank you for Victor for rephrasing another way. Right?
I remember the cricket thing you used to do, and I used to support you 100%.
Yeah. You see what I'm
until the council got involved and wrecked it.
Yeah, they wrecked it because I don't think.
Oh, this Luton Council hates children. They hate us.
Well, I don't.
They hate black people.
I don't think people realize, when you're doing something right, how good it is until when it's gone. Yeah, we take things for granted. We take each other for granted. Yeah. So, but even I don't want to be too critical. Even the Luton Caribbean Cricket Club, they were dead when I got asked to come in and help them some 12 years ago, something like that. And then they couldn't.
Next year is 30 years. Luton Caribbean is going.
Yeah. Let me.
I'm the president at the moment.
Yes, let me finish what I'm saying in terms of this, really. Right? And I did a fantastic job. I thought I did a fantastic job with the Luton Caribbean. I developed them, got sponsorship from outside. I got grant, and all that. I was really pushing on. We got relocated elsewhere, and I was managing a lot of things. Yeah, but unfortunately, I think some of us can't take success. And I had to walk away. I had to walk away and just leave them to their own whatever. Yeah. At the sort of height, So when it comes about, say, goals for the community, whatever it is, I have to accept now, really, right, that you can only go so far with certain people according to where they want to go. You can't make them excel because sometimes they get to a certain level, that's good enough. Yeah. And for me,
you only
really,
do so much.
It's not good enough for me. When I'm doing something, I want to go to the next level or whatever it is like that. But I won't be a burden to nobody. I'll just leave them, You can't, there's no point in batting yourself totally. And that may sound negative, but people's got to take responsibility. And so with me now, really, right, I don't know how long God's going to give me on this planet left. But there's other things I'd like to do, When I said other things I'd like to do, at the moment, I'm focusing more like on the elderly. People talk about Windrush. But I've been doing, I'm Windrush. Yes, and I respect for my elders, and now I'm coming to an age really, right? I'm 67 in October. Yeah, so I can't just be.
Okay.
I'm no.
You look good for your age.
Hey,
you look good for your age.
Thank you very much. I like
because in the sunshine.
Thank you very much.
I'm 75, going on 76, Bob, and I'm still fighting. I'm still fighting for the elderly Caribbean.
Yeah, what's happened really, right? In short, really. I mean, people may know that a long time back I did the Black Community Awards, yeah, to honor the achievement of, regardless of age in our community, right? There's a first of many things, that's been done. The Black History, I was the one who officially launched Black History in Luton at the library and such forth, right? But it's not just about that. I must say, there's other people that were significant that helped me do a lot of stuff that we work with. And I must mention Zippy Bravo, even though some of you may not know her, she's phenomenal. In fact, she got me to meet with Paul Botan, one of the first Black MP, right? And Paul Botan, basically, right, through Zippy and Philip Rose, we were founders of Luton Law Centre in Luton. People may not know that. Luton Law Centre, yeah? We went on to Professor Figueroa came and talked about, Caribbean history and life and such forth. We had a lot of things going to keep our culture and whatever, thing like that. But, Black business, me and Lawrence Palmer, we had Black Business Expo and stuff like that, I mean, Warwicker would know a lot of these things because Warwicker, when he's coming to the UK, he wasn't supposed to be there because he's quite young, but he's kind of mature still. I mean, Arlene, used to come. And, like for Warwicker, in terms of how he's developed and he's got back into the community, I think it's a natural thing, really, in some way. And, In fact, even the Princess Trust, one of the time, you know, if I can talk loosely, one of the time, like I said, I took work on.
There we go.
18 to 24 up to was it Caister? I think it was. It Caister? And anyway, people unemployed to brush up to get skills and whatever stuff like that, you know. And he had an enjoyable experience, and he met a particular young lady, I think, who was doing the what you call it, Kelly Owens when it worker. Yeah. Anyway, really, right. It's like the worker was talking and I said, "Worker, you need to go to the youth. You know, you're a part of. I'm a leader." And this one from my. He said, "Oh, I mean, she attacked. Yes, worker, get in there." You know, because Kelly Owens, right? She was in the army and blah blah blah. Sir Kelly Owens, blah, blah. But anyway, in the short of it, you know, we did shopping and our food. We buy food from the supermarket and we do a curry goat and proper. You know, we had all the other people and young people, 18 to 20, they want to come to our chalet. But like a party thing, like, and I trusted those young people. They had respect for me, you know what I mean? So we got the best out of it.
Yes.
And then worker, about 2 years later, when they say, no, they want music, DJ, whatever, who did I recommend? I said, worker, so he got paid to come up there and play the music. Is that true, work?
Yes, brother. Yes, brother. First time we ever catch flight as a DJ, you know. I remember coming back and I was giving me my money and I was telling them, yeah, man, pay me all in Scottish notes. So that's what pure Scottish notes. So when I touch back a Luton, innit, can show the people, say, yeah, look, was in Scotland. Yeah, you know what I mean? And yeah, it was great. Yeah, a lot of good works with the Princess Trust, what you've done there, Bob, with and also connections and you know.
What I'm saying, really, a
lot of kids, a lot of young people in Luton got a lot out of that, you know, by going to those things what you've done, innit? We went to places in Wales and, as you said, Scotland, Caister, all over the place, you know what I mean? And I still see some of them now, innit? And they still, you know, remember it well and speak highly of yourself and what happened, you know, at these places, you know. You don't really see much of those things happening anymore, unfortunately.
That's true. But what I do see, Warwick, is people like you and other people like Victor carrying things forward. Yeah, nothing to do with me. You just got inspired and you're doing things. You know, so that's my thing. So I think I'm entitled, if that's a word, to look at something else that I want to do in terms of other things. And I say, really, working with the elderly. I've had dances as well, right? But when I say dances, let me clarify it. I'm not a promoter, right? I'm a cultural. I use arts as a medium. I was the one who brought the comedy into Luton with Oliver. But the first big one was at Caesar's Palace with the real McCoy. That was rammed out. Yeah. Okay, you went to that, yeah. So we got to use all medium. I do serious stuff like Melanic Shabazz, The Story of Lovers Rock. It's about our culture, you know, and I think The Story of Lovers Rock's about the music that impact on the British thing. And I, you know, when I was younger, you know, like say, there's music a strong influence on me. Like all because I remember the time before when it was all sort of so-called bar-led before Rasta took over big time, even among my friends there, you know. And I've been through alienation as well. You know what I mean? The parents never really understand what young people was going through at the time. We were just left to just spend, you know, and only the church was very good. It's either the church, and then we were evaluating, we moved forward, went to nightclub and things like that, into football matches and things like that. So we're still building, still building, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Bob, can I ask you? Was you involved in the 100 Black Men of Luton as well?
Not the 100 Black Men of Luton, but can I let me go back a little. There's a movement. One of the time, really, right? What year it was? There's a lot of black and black stuff, yeah, that was going on. It was bad, yeah, especially around when I think one of the last, I don't want to name any whatever, but one you got run over with a bike in altercation. It continued, yeah, and people's pressure and pressure. So I organized a conference, right? A big and I brought in Dr. Huma Johnson. He came over. I linked him in. Yeah. Does everybody know Dr. Huma Johnson?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, so he was a top back in the day. And out of that,
Are you talking about Delaney Brown, the person that got run over?
I believe it was. Is it Delaney Brown? Can't remember the name.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah. You know, but anyway, that conference, right, it was Club Lucy. Yeah, very powerful conference it was. And at the end of it, when he gave the knowledge, I said, look, we can't just have the knowledge and just sit on it, because so a group got formed. You know, like, it was a Luton Black Men group. That's what the group was called. Yeah.
Okay.
And what you call it, he was from London. Don't want to name his name, but he got involved in that as well. And plus we had various programs. One of them was Fade. One of us Fade. Film and discussion evening, where you watch a film, you know, proper film, and you discuss the issues and things like that, you know.
Andrew Mohammed.
Sorry?
Andrew Mohammed.
No, he never. No, he wasn't involved in that. The Fade was a local thing. It's a local part of the Black Men group.
Yeah.
Luton Black Men group.
See. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that group, there was some internals with that group, and I addressed it. And I moved away from after I addressed it, and it continued, because within that group there are things like bringing Kwanzaa, you know, and things like that. But I wasn't involved in 100 Black Men of Luton, but 100 Black Men of London. One person, Davis, he was involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah. But what I'm saying really, right, sometimes people see outside people more important than look at what the local people and their contribution. Yeah. In some, I'm not talking it has to be about me. You know, it's about how we lift up ourselves, and we get left with the baby all the time. And to start again, you know, there's no continuity in that kind of way. You know, but looking at this group, that's why I think it's very good that I make a contribution. I was kind of looking back and say, you know what, you know, what's this about? You know, but then saying that, really, right, I accept, you know, what's gone is gone. You know, those years is gone. All we can do is build on those experiences, you know, and for you guys to take it forward, you know, and know you know, and you know, it's about relationship as well. You know, you see, I think it's very important that when you do something, you know who you're dealing with, not just what they can do, who you're dealing with. Because I find myself recently, I did an event in terms of exchange trip, whatever. And if the leader in one of the party don't play fair with another party, things get break down. Yeah. I must want me to speak more plainer? What I'm saying basically, really, right? You've got to protect your plate so that others can eat off it. You don't let somebody mash up the plate, and then you know you're looking for a plate because somebody mash it up, and you got to protect your plate. Yeah, so that other can pass it on, other can use it. You know, and for whatever reason, we don't always think that. We just think of the one-off that's in front of you, and that's not good. Yeah, I'm sorry if I sound a bit, but that's what
no, the reality is the reality. Sydney, did you have another question?
I did. I got a flyer about Luton Tobacco Festival. Maybe you can talk about that for a little bit. I haven't attended one before. I just wanted to know what it was about and how it came about.
Yeah, that's the second one we're gonna have actually. It came about last year we did the first one. It's because really, right, it's about forming the more links between the African and the Caribbean continent community, right? Because even in Luton, you'll find that really, right, so-called African and Caribbean, the mix. kids and whatever, kid relationship and things like that. So the idea of this really, right, is actually you know, a fusion of we actually sort of doing things together, as opposed to, you know, the Caribbean bit, the African bit.
So,
Hey?
go ahead.
1 minute, Bob. Can everybody mute their mic, please,
So
until
I
they've
just
got a
muted him.
question? Okay, thank you.
I just muted him. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so what I'm saying basically is about, you know, the continent really, right, coming together. And being specific, like Ghana the other day, last year, you know, they're saying welcoming people back. Welcome, because you know, we come from majority of the Caribbean. They come from, you know, the slave trade, Nigeria, Ghana,
West Africa.
West Africa. So really and truly, and I think the world, we should have a wider view. I'm not saying that we don't, some of us don't, because there's a lot of the brothers then, they're going to Zambia, they go to Ghana and places like that, you know? So why should we try and do something that we can actually sort of celebrate and things like that? So the event last year was very good. You know, we had various performers, you know, from our community. We had the African dancing and you know, and things like that. What Baku, you know, it's actually, so it means unity, it means the one, yeah. And sometimes we don't have anything that we have to celebrate for us. So it's slightly different from just a Caribbean twist. It's got the African bit to it. So that's what it is. It's actually sort of unifying the arts, the music, the culture. But we're gonna have a Windrush slant this year to it as well, in terms of what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Unifying the African culture and the Caribbean culture. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Can I ask another question, Bob? Why, as you see, we've got no community centers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the church plays a big enough role in the community, in terms of considering we haven't got no community buildings? Do you think the church should open up their building to the community?
Well, I think that without question, I think that the church do open up to the community, but they do it on a very conservative, because I think they probably see their first thing is to worship God, or, you know, within their own business.
Hold on, who's that?
Where's that coming from?
I think that's coming through Bob's. Have you got a TV in the background, Bob?
No, I've got nothing on.
Nothing. Oh, okay, Graham, got 1 minute. One. Yeah, carry on, Bob. Sorry about that.
Well, I'd say that, you know, the church, you know, they do open up. You know, I'm not saying if it's they don't need to do more. Of course, churches need to do more. We all need to do more. I mean, they don't say that should be just about soup kitchen and something like that, you know. But obviously, you know, I view church as a business. You know, it is a business, really. I think they've got to balance their book in terms of donations and such. But I think it's up to the people as in the church, right, to make their feelings or their impact known. You know? So what in sense of to me, really, right, if you believe in God, you know, which I'm not assuming that everybody do, but if you're God fearing, you don't have to be perfect. God take you as you are, so you're trying to better yourself in whatever way, right? I feel like you're saving lives. The first, you know, premises of the church for me, right? The church is there, right, to save souls and save lives. That's what the church is supposed to be, to teach the word, you know, in terms of whatever, you know. You do not necessarily have to go to church for that, but it does help when you're in fellowship and worship other people, see people in your community, whether old, young, or whatever. Yeah, in terms of that. You know, I go to church most Sundays. Yeah, because I like the fellowship of it. You know, it doesn't matter what denomination, right? But at the same time, really, it doesn't stop me from living my life. I still go out, enjoy myself, yeah, and things like that. And I know there's pressure on me, but I've resisted so far. Because the day, you know, he said to me that, oh, I can't do that because I'm in church now, this and that. You know, because don't forget, Jesus Christ, he said he'd rather worship outside the synagogue than goes in there. So corrupt back in his days. I'm not saying that church that. But yeah, I think maybe we may need a new, I won't say evolving of the church that is more meaningful to people in some ways, while they have the traditionalists and the traditionalist church. And you talk about the traditionalist church, you know, and I don't, you know, and stuff like that. But it'd be good if we can, because some great leaders come from the church back in the day, like, and Martin Luther King and all that kind of stuff. And even in certain
most of us stem from the church anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even the revolutionists in certain, you know, countries, they come from the church. Paul Bogle, you know, so I'm being real in terms of that. But that's a very good question. You know, perhaps we should form a look at I don't know whether you want to call it a church, whatever you want to call it, movement, because one of the things, right, we need to protect certain values. Yeah, and that's why we don't get forward, because we ain't got certain values. Why we don't make good business? Because we don't honor our word, the covenant. Sometimes, not all of us, you know, I'm just saying, you know, it's about trust and honoring that kind of, you know, but that's a very, you know, good question.
Bob.
Hey?
One of the things is, once you start changing certain things in the church, they have to start paying council tax. Because I know that as a fact. So sometimes this is why they don't want to do other things, because they lose their freedom of tax and council tax.
Are you saying that they want to work within the parameters that they've been set?
Well, if I know someone wanted to do something in the church, and then they realize that the church will have to start paying tax and council tax.
But
when they don't pay it now, they're free from it.
Can I just pose that question? Because, you know, I've got a very good friend, you know, and he's a clergyman, and he does wonderful things in Birmingham. It's Pastor Brian Scott. Pastor Brian Scott, are you still with us?
Think about what you... Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, man, that's an interesting question. I mean, you've done great things outside, you know. So give this man a take, please. Please share your knowledge, yeah?
A take on what we've done in the church, or what the church done in the community.
Well, there's a view. Sorry, there's a view that the church should do more. I don't know, you know, how much more, because the church normally is there to save lives and to
and people always say that.
No, you do a lot, you know.
People always say that the church should do more, but they know what the church is doing already. I know you're aware, Bob, what we're doing in our church, but we do a loads of things, from youth club to food banks to girls and boys brigades, Sunday services. We do weddings, we do marriages, we do funerals. We run we've been running a community centre for the last 8-9 years. Birmingham City Council was going to shut one of their community centres, and we said we'd run it. We don't get a penny from them. So, you know what I mean? When people say the church should do more, they have to be more specific, because we're doing a lot, but I find a lot of people are not aware of what we're actually doing. What makes it difficult. That's what makes it difficult. You know what I mean? And at the same time, we try to keep that spirituality of the church, and not just be a church. We're just running programs after program after programs. We try to have a balance. We have things like, we've just had our annual retreat where we've all gone away. 3 coach load of us gone away for a weekend, so that people can just relax. They don't have to cook for the weekend. Just put their feet up, have a good time. We come up to our annual camping, dads and lads, where we go camping for the weekend, dads and lads and their fathers and their grandfathers. I think this is our 20th year. I mean, so if I was to sit down and tell you what we do as a church, we do loads, but we also work with the local churches. We work with Prophecy, New Testament. We work with the local churches as well. So it's always, how should I put it? I mean, it always irritates when people say the church should do more and they don't know what the church is doing.
Okay,
They don't do nothing like that in Luton. They don't do nothing like that in Luton.
Don't you? No, man, in Birmingham, we have marriage seminars. We do all sorts, man. Bob will tell you, man. Bob will tell you.
That's good, brother. That's good. But churches in
Yeah.
Luton ain't doing
Listen,
your
As I said, now to Watford is a different way of life from Luton.
Listen, right.
Pastor David Bishop Blake in it to answer for their churches.
True.
Have you got any black churches in Luton?
Trevor Adams.
Black churches.
Yeah, we do.
Black-led
churches in
churches.
Luton?
Black-led churches.
Yeah.
Black-led churches.
Yeah.
Luton that's black.
So who's that bubbling up there?
Because in Birmingham, we've got lots of black churches, black-led, fully black congregations. We've got loads. So you must find a church we can fit in. If you don't want a black church, we've got African church. You can find a church that suits you, where you like the music, or if you don't like the preacher, you can find a church because you've got choice. You got choice in Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good, brother.
Yeah, there's
that's
quite
good.
a few black churches in Luton still.
So really, right? What I'm saying, we've got to take things in the context of where we are and in an environment. Yeah, and I like I say, Pastor Brian Scott, his church, very, very progressive. Yeah, and for me, sometimes, right, that's why I can't get bogged down with just the locality. You know, I have to get out. You know, and I do get out, do outreach, do out on places like that. But you know, maybe some of those things can be taken back into church in terms of, as a model, good practice. What else elsewhere? And that, I think that's you know, take the good practice from other places and bring it in. You know.
Yeah. Take the good bits and leave the bad.
Leave the bad thing. I don't want to bash Luton or anything like that. I just got to realize the terrain in which I operate, and it's it's not good, you know.
All right, going back to you, Bob. Would you like? Thanks again for that, Brian Scott.
You're welcome.
Bob, what would you like to see in the black community going forward? What changes would you like to see?
Well, you know, I think the question that Marvin asked was a very pertinent question. I'd like to see the things. I'd like to see us challenging each other, really, in some ways, for the betterment, not argument or tear down, you know. And because what it is, right, sometimes we know that things isn't right, and we see things, but we turn the other eye, we turn away. Yeah? I'd like to see us say, look, what's happening here? Why did that happen? You know, but we don't tend to do that. They ain't got nothing to do with me. Yeah. So I like us to be more, what's the word? More inquiring, more looking out for each other, you know, in that kind of way. Because sometimes you just feel like you're just on your own, you know. I mean, there's a lot of things that I like to see, but other people may not support it. I've spoke to Warwick about them in the music. I don't like the slap music, yeah, that really bad stuff. And there's a particular place that it's always there, you know, and I can't really extreme, you know, and it does keep in mind, not just, I don't become old fashioned, you know, well, I could be without conceited, but you know, I like to think I'm more, for my age, I'm more outgoing still. Yeah. So is that what I like to say? I like to see us develop a strong cultural, economic, entrepreneur base.
Right.
You know, within that. And with spirituality. Not just any kind of thing. It's when I say spirituality, it's got to have some consciousness behind it in some form of way. Economic.
I think Grace Campbell said very good. I think she's referring to what Brian Scott and his church is doing as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else with any more questions? Yeah, they're doing a great job.
Well, I want to ask one more question, but let's see if anyone else got a question to ask.
Anybody else with any more questions?
Just a comment, if you don't mind. There's a lot of things said that why isn't Luton Borough Council employing a lot of black people? Now, I find a lot of the young black people don't want to work for Luton Borough Council because they can go to London and get a better job, better paid. Because Luton is like a dead end for them. So they're going to London now. And they want a quota in Luton, which, to be honest, the young blacks, they're better educated now. They go to London, they get a very good job, better paid, You know.
Yeah, that's across the board, though, isn't it? A lot of youths leave school, and as soon as they get their chance, they go to London.
Well,
Yeah,
yes,
that's across the board.
yeah. There is that, because depending on where you live and what the opportunity, if you got talent, you're going to vote with your foot. Yeah. But the big question is, like, why are we looking for jobs? I know we should be looking to create our own jobs in some ways. It's not always possible. Yeah. Because if, you know, when I left school, back in there, I left school at 15, you know, I mean, what was drummed in people, get a job. But, you know, I resisted. I got a career in engineering. Yeah. Apprenticeship. Yeah. But now it's all changed. It's about your self-education now. Your talent and your craft is going to take you through. Obviously, you know, you have to work for somebody else until when you can work for yourself. Yeah. But trust me, I would say really right. This thing about the Luton Borough Council, I think sometimes we can look for them for all everything. They're not God. We've got to help ourselves, you know, as well as challenging them. You know, when we go to Luton Borough Council, I get fed up with that. I left Luton Borough. I left a £30,000 a year job because I wasn't satisfied. I had enough when I left Luton Borough Council in 2005, 30 grand. You know, and I left it to do my own project management. It never worked out the way I wanted to work out, but I got there in the end. I wanted to do something for myself. I got fed up, whatever like that. I'm not saying because I did. And now, you know, it's good if you can be your own person, your own man. You know, and I don't want to be sexy, your own person. To and liberate yourself, because even people go to college.
Bob, I worked from 1978 for myself too.
Excellent.
Even now.
Excellent. Because we can get dependent on the system. You know, and some of us, like, I'm not saying we shouldn't go to union, whatever. You have to go. You have to learn about the society. But don't get taken in that you're better than somebody else, yeah, and come back with propaganda and don't put nothing back in as a person. It's not about just a status thing. It's about being real. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to make that point. That's a very important point.
Can I ask?
One minute, B. 1 minute. Let me just ask one question, and I'll bring you back in. Can you tell us any new projects you have coming forward?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any new projects that's in the pipeline?
Yeah. What is, as I say to you, I'm sustaining what I already do. It's one thing I'm sustaining. The Windrush Community Awards. You know, I don't know how many of you guys know about the Windrush Community Awards. It's an event, really, right, where people in the community, you know, with the Windrush certain era, right, according to their what field they're in, they get an award and they get a write-up about them, why they got it, you know. But the public, they've got to vote, not vote, they've got to write for them. And then we look at all those one that comes and we select after the panel. And we have a performance, music and food and whatever. And it brings everybody together, not just a certain section, but everybody. It's like lifting up the spirit and image, you know. And it's we that's doing it. It's not like outside people doing it for us and telling us. We create our own models within our community. So that's the thing I'm taking forward. First year we had Rudolph Walker. He was one of our speakers and things like that. But it's not about speaking, it's about entertaining people getting together. This year we had 2360. We had a 102-year-old woman that came. She's been in, you know, and she's actually, you know, her story is amazing, you know. And there are people from Bedford that came and things like that. It's you know, you see people that ordinarily the only time you see those people that it's just like when there's a funeral, and I don't think it's about a funeral. We should get together and acknowledge the good while people are still alive.
Yeah, true.
You know, so what I've got project coming up, basically I've got the Barcool Festival, you know. I've got in the pipeline a play around midlife crisis, you know.
Okay.
Well, I don't want to say too much about that, you know. It's very interesting. But if you know the things I do really right, they've always got some aims and objectives behind them, yeah. They're not just they're not really strictly about money neither, but I've got to try and balance it. It's got to make some difference in some. And I've got enough behind projects to actually, so I'm in touch with a lot of the elders, you know. I don't want to name some names, but there's people that's done things that are not active anymore, you know, like the likes of like Valerie Taylor and all of other people, you know, teacher Aaron and his wife, you know, these people still exist, you know, and we don't, because I'm creating Bedfordshire, Heritage Bedfordshire Windrush Ambassador, you know, an elder person who's actually sort of in touch with the elders so that they're advocating, not me, and supporting them, and you know, that kind of like a bit of back home kind of thing, you know. You know, those are the kind of things very, very important, yeah, because you know, we got to look at how we're going to continue to build on for ourselves and our community. So I can't get involved in every team. I've got the particular how much energy I've got. Plus, I've got to go out there and enjoy myself.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, B.
You can only do so much. Right, Bob. Why do you think we haven't got a community centre, a social hub, especially since Starlight and Youth House was closed down? How many years ago now? Why hasn't that been replaced? None of those been replaced with another community centre.
Simple. That's a simple question to answer.
I'm not putting it on you like it's your responsibility.
No,
I'm just asking your opinion.
Yeah, my opinion basically really right.
It's not.
No, you see what people don't realise. You see Starlight Youth Club.
Yeah.
I know the background of Starlight. Candy Core, you know, got a Starlight Youth Club. It's from the St. Alban Diocese or something like that. But you know, you have to know what it is basically, right? It wasn't a black youth club. We never owned it. It was a council owned. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We're clear in terms of that. It was a council owned. Yeah. And the council got it cheap to loan from the St. Albans Diocese. And St. Albans Diocese, they give over buildings for those kind of social stuff, you know, thing like that. So it wasn't a black youth club. We never owned it. The council owned it. They employed us to work there. Yeah, that's what it is. But it was mostly black people that used it as well as white people, and everybody used it. It wasn't prejudice, and it was a lovely place. Yeah. So when they have the cots and things, that was it. In fact, I think some gym people got it now. Some people got it as a gym.
Yeah, it's a gym
within that
martial arts place.
Martial arts kind of
mixed
like that.
Mixed
so
martial arts.
why we haven't got, you know, and within the so-called equalities and all that kind, there's not going to allocate a grade, so that's for the African Caribbean. Yeah, back in the days, you know, maybe a possibility, but see what I'm right. We never went to voluntary, like there's some of the other groups, like say the Asian group in particular. They had a voluntary organization, and their voluntary organization, they grow to actually lease or manage a building. Yeah, yeah. So in their own right, in that way, why we haven't got a center, really, right? Because we need people to put in money to get a center, or at the same time, they've got the money. They've got to have an organization that's built up and to acquire a center like that, but for the objects of the arts and the community of African Caribbean and such forth. Yeah, that way forward, that can work. But you've got to have serious people.
Bob,
serious people.
Does the Asian put their money into it compared to into their centers? They will put their hands in their pocket and fund it.
Well, yeah, we've got to look at. There's a difference in the culture. What I'm saying, this is specific. This is facts, really, right?
It's true.
No, I'm not saying against you, because they've got, like I said, the Bangladesh Youth League or the Pakistani whatever. They're a voluntary organization that owns building. They evolved. Yeah. They may get a grant off the council. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say, Starlight was actually sort of managed by the council. And cuts come, they cut the building and they say the staff, and that's it. Yeah. Because we got too integrated, so to speak. It was comfortable. Yeah. So I'm saying really right that if we want a center, you got to have people's got money going to want to put into it. To have a place of your own. Then it won't be the council in charge of our destiny, or an organization set up specifically with serious people. You know, not people who's going to have an idea, people can't get on and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So do you
That's what
reckon
they are.
do you think the council would fund that again if there was an organisation set up properly and presenting themselves the right way? Do you think the council would fund that, or
The council do not fund anything anymore?
Put our money in?
The council don't fund anything anymore. The airport does.
But there is that bit. But I agree to partly.
But it's like the daycare centre. Pastor Patrick wanted to buy it, right? But they refused to sell it to him because he wasn't going to pay enough for it. And he wanted to keep it for the Caribbean people. But the council sell it to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
It's an economic thing.
Yeah.
What I realize, right? This is me. You know, I mean, I may not be seeing the other people thinking, right?
Sorry, Bob, I'm not getting at you. I'm just saying what.
No, I'm not saying you're getting at me. I'm just saying this is me. I don't really look anything from the council to that, to tell you the truth. I'm looking at what I'm doing. If they can assist me in some way, fine. If they're not, I don't look for them. You know what I mean? I'm fed up with that. I'm that slave kind
self-sufficient.
Yeah, in that kind of way. You know?
That way no one can't pull a carpet from under your foot.
Eh?
That way no one can't pull a carpet from under your foot.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pastor Brian Scott.
I'm going to say we had the same thing in Birmingham. We had lots of organisations that were using buildings that were owned by the council. And once the council took the building away, or the council changed from Labour to Conservatives or whatever, the organisation was in trouble. So you need your own buildings if you want to be totally independent. I think up in Sheffield, they got a centre called Sadaki or whatever, which is owned by the community, so that they're not in the council's pockets or anybody's pockets. I mean, in Birmingham, we've got a big problem where we haven't got buildings owned by our community. You know what I mean? So when we have funerals, we have several funerals in Birmingham a week. No one's got a hall big enough. No one's got a hall in our community big enough to have a wake for 300 people. So every time we have to go to the other communities, the Sikh communities or the Muslims, and we're giving them £2,000-3,000 every funeral we do. That's going from our community into theirs.
Same like Luton.
I've raised it many times in Birmingham. I said, we're crazy. And in Birmingham, we're doing at least in the black churches, we're doing at least 10 funerals between us a week.
Wow.
That's a lot of money going out.
A lot of money going out into other communities. I mean, and they love it because we come there, we have a funeral, we have a wake, we spend our money. You know, black people spend at the bar. They love it. They love it. I mean, but you try book it for a birthday party, not interested. But you want a funeral, they want your money, man.
Yeah, they want
and
the
that's
money.
What we're gonna learn. We need to be self-sufficient.
Exactly. That's where I'm going with the social entrepreneur cultural thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we wrap up, you mentioned certain books and stuff that you read as a youth, like Marcus Garvey and those things. Can you expand on some of that, please?
Yeah, because really and truly, I never really, I never came into consciousness properly, till the uprising in the 81, them time, because really, you just program school, this, that, whatever, like, and sometimes you have to take a stock and reflect on yourself and your journey. Where am I? What am I doing? And when you start reading, you see a wider picture, and things make a bit more sense then, because when I was, like in my teens, I used to see images of America, Ku Klux Klan, this, that, Martin Luther King, and I never knew about Malcolm X and all those kind of stuff and all those kind of. So it's good to have, because those things you don't get taught in school or whatever, and then it teaches you how to, Muhammad Ali was one of my heroes, and stuff like that, when I saw him on Parkinson's drug, and so if you just don't have no sort of how can I say it, no appreciation of where you're coming from in terms of books, stories, whatever like that, is you just be like a wind. So I mean, Bernard Cord, how the Caribbean children, how they underdevelop them in the system, and when you read that, you see exactly what was going on, and that influenced me to get involved with Eileen Williams, who was the secretary of the African Caribbean Self-Help National Organization, with Dr. Vincines, to do Saturday schools. And I was very, went to Saturday schools, helping the children and things like that. And I saw my calling on my, what do you call it, reflect on myself and how I want to influence and put back in, what gave me the joy. And so there's lots of books that give you strong identity stuff, that you don't, you're not on your own, that kind of way.
That gave you the drive to, did that give you the drive to organize then?
That gave me the drive, like some of the saying of Marcus Garvey, organize or perish, first with that history, so it's not just about history in the past, it's also a history about yourself, an history about your community and things like that. Another famous book, really right, author, really right, Maya Angelou. She's a fantastic, and I know Victor is a really cool a book. He's really into his books and stuff like that in his library. He's a Starlight Other Youth Club as well. Credit Steve Stevenson. He put books inside there, for people on a quest, It's better from when I was younger, like you read from school kids, you don't know, you read the Enid Blyton, Famous Five and all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that still, nothing wrong earlier when you read the comics and your Marvel and whatever. But it's good to get sort of more, thing like that into the books. So the books, I'd encourage people, and plus there's some great authors now that's coming through writing about the story. Nardine wrote about the story. There's Ricky Hill wrote about his world in terms of, there's loads of different things really, right? In fact, we're all part of a story, whether it's verbal or written, we're all part of a story, we're all making history, but I think that the reading and the widening of vocabulary, rather than just talk to people who just maybe not into reading or maybe not doing anything, you got to get away from that. Yeah.
So, Bob, last question, mate, because we're after, it's like 80 minutes past 8 now, innit? So we're going to be wrapping up. So last question. How long are you giving yourself to continue the community work before you put your hat down? Yeah, you take your hat off. And as you were saying earlier about passing on the baton, have you got a team or any younger members of the community that you're showing the way? So when you do hang your hat up, put your slippers on, at least you can know that the work is carrying on, and then obviously you can support them, guide them, be there for them at the same time. Any information and knowledge they need, you can pass on to them.
Well, I've got a structured approach. I've got a structured organized approach. I've got an organization called Heritage Associates, or Caribbean Heritage Group. We've been going a long time, and as I said, I'm really right. There's a Luton Black Hearts, Beds and Luton Black Hearts. And there's a young lady basically really right. She's involved in it. She's in Bedford at the moment. She's not fully back into it because she's just at school. But what is right, there are people that I won't say mentoring, that I'm coaching, and they're involved with the organ, not to the degree of fully front. At the same time, really right, I do support other organisations who's doing, especially youth group. One of them is the You Are Able group. Really, I'm not the founder. Lawrence done a fantastic job, and Bill is involved in it as well. So it's all about setting up that parameter. Some of them may not want to do what I'm doing. They want to do their own thing according to their own experience, and I can understand that. But when I was young, maybe there was no organisation anyway. But it's about supporting the good things that I know people are doing on their term, not on my term. And whilst at the same time trying to integrate them, if they choose to be involved in what I'm doing, and things like that. But most important, it's about maintaining a standard. The standard that in how things are done and certain things at the moment. But in terms of like so-called passing on the baton or whatever it is, I mean, that's I understand the concept, but I think the batons already. I think that I've already passed on the batons, and you guys are the batons. Yeah, for real. No, you guys are the batons, so be real in terms of what we're talking about. You know, you know, the host there, Mark. There's loads of other people, the baton, because they're carrying it forward, really. You know, and the thing about it, right? People want things, but they don't seem like they want to put the time in.
Yeah, the work
to make it happen, you know. So we talkish, you know what I mean? Whatever, yeah. And I'm saying I'm there to assist in whatever way, somebody in a productive way, but I'm not there to go back and start again in terms of where people are at. I can't be doing that, and I'm being real in certain ways. And plus, so that's it really.
All right. Just before we wrap up now, can I ask you one more question, before we wrap up? Tell us something that most people don't know about. One thing.
That most people don't know about me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do they know that I'm a grandfather? Do they know that I got a 24-year-old grandson, the twin?
Okay.
Right?
No, I didn't know.
I never know that.
Yeah. Do they know basically, really, right? Not just in, I'm so-called uncle for Bishop Blake, but I've got a bishop auntie in London. It's not about status either. What do they know about me? Do they know that this is personal now? I've never been married. I'm still single. Yeah.
Say again?
I'm still single.
Okay.
I've never been married. I've bought a house and everything. Yeah. And I don't know whether they know, but I do love my people. But I'm disciplined. I don't like nonsense. And I walk away from whatever thing like that. You know? And I respect people. And I respect people. Absolutely.
All right.
Respect and healing. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Well, Bob, thank you so much for your time, man.
Yes.
Much appreciated.
Thanks for coming in, Bob. Respect.
Thank you all. And all those people listening. Can I just say, Grace, even though you're listening and talking, you know you're my sister from a long time. You know, and your father was a great influence to me. God bless his soul, and your mother as well. You know, so respect. I see Patrick is listening. He's been about a long time doing stuff. Manners and respect to everybody, really, and wish you guys all the best, man. Continue. My man, Mr. Gilbert, you still there? And God, anyway, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm still here.
No, man, you see, there's nothing wrong with having slight difference or whatever. You could take it back to the people at the cricket club. If they come and approach me differently, I'm willing to meet up with them. This is man chat, so we talk man chat, real thing, yeah?
Well, I've been on this program already.
No, did you hear what I said to you?
I heard what you said.
Cricket people, you know who it is. I'm willing to meet them, talk to them proper. I'm willing to re-look, because, you know what I mean? I'm here to do good, but I'm not here to be whatever.
I mean, we got a vision.
Take it back. If you don't need anything, that's fine. I'm good.
We got a vision for the club.
That's good. All right, then. I just thought I'd just make an olive branch to these.
The only thing that really annoyed me, I'm gonna be on BBC East on Sunday.
So who's that
with Rachel Hopkins MP for Luton South. We recorded the program on Friday. And they're showing it on Luton East, BBC Luton East on Sunday.
Oh yeah, guys, and we're having a cookout on Sunday as well. Sunday afternoon from about like 1 o'clock onwards.
Where's that, Mark?
Marsh House.
Marsh House.
So if you don't want to come down and grab something to eat with the man them and meet some of the other people.
Sorry, what time, Mark?
I'm saying about from 1 o'clock, man.
I'll pass through, man. And
and
I must
hold on, Bob. Where are you?
Huh?
Wait a minute.
Where are you, Bob?
Waiting me there.
Well, we can say, Mr. a beach behind you.
The man,
is that a video?
The man has got chuck off in that water in a bit as we lock off the man has got dive in.
Look off him suit and jumpy.
Anyway, I must hear that one of the person who's been a long time in this community works, a man called Lawrence Palmer, still behind the scene. Lawrence done good things, so I must heal him up because I never mentioned our journey. He was very good, you know.
I'm gonna give you one little thing. Marcus Garvey and my granduncle, Granville Campbell, used to go and watch George Headley on a Saturday, and then Sunday they went to Eswittle Park. My granduncle did the choir, and Marcus Garvey did his speeches. Very close family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks all. I'm gone now. Me hungry.
Respect. All right. Yes.
Yeah.
Bob, thanks a lot again for your
I love
time.
you guys. Marvin, you asked some very pertinent question. I like that. You know?
Enough
Respect, man. Workers, well, you know, workers, isn't it? Just straight.
No, I'll leave it, you know, I'll give people an opportunity to ask questions, you know.
No, man, you're good, man. You're all good, you know. You're all good. No,
respect.
Thanks, Bob.
Respect every time, yeah.
Are you still running the game? Are you still running the games nights?
Not really. The gaming thing. You talk about the gaming, the stuff.
Was it at Putteridge? Somewhere around Putteridge?
No, are you talking about the gaming?
Yeah, the game night.
Not really, but we can see we may bring it in because we may bring it at the Barcool Festival. Yeah, but anybody want to join in the Barcool Festival? Oh, by the way, guys, please feel free. Come and set up a store. We talk about it and advertise what you're doing at the Barcool Festival.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a store, Bob. How much are they going for this year?
Listen, man, we can work out something.
All right.
Something good, you know.
Well, we are community group. We are non-profit community group, so you know.
Yeah.
I'll ring you about that still.
You're supposed to profit, man. You're supposed to profit in goodness.
Wow.
No.
You know.
All right.
You always work out something good, man. Come on.
Yeah. All right.
Truly said, thanks, Bob, for telling us where you started and where you're heading. Stay blessed.
All right. Thanks again. Yeah. I'm out there now, guys. Yeah.
All right. Bless.
Yeah. Nice one, bro.
Bye.